What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. I don't remember the last time we did a horror movie. We were doing so many for so long, and then for some reason we just kind of like started doing various things. But now we're back to the scary stuff, and boy, this is one of the most intriguing, very well done, artistically satisfying horror movies in a long, long time. Not a whole lot of bad to say about it. And I'm here with my two horror aficionados to talk about it tonight. Starting with my head of life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
Well, see, you don't have to go too far because on this particular panel, you quite literally have the devil himself. So, no incantations or no strings to pull, whatever Bane from the Matrix, whatever the fuck he was trying to disprove. But, yeah, we'll get into that. But, I'm just saying, I'm making this a lot easier on you guys by just, bringing up the good stuff.
Every night here on the channel is Late Night with the Devil, if you think about it. If you know, you know. What Jeremy says. If you know, you know. And the other devil from down south, the shape from Lone Star State. What's up, brother?
Well, I know we've been kind of struggling to kind of, grow the channel a little bit. So I did something. I didn't want to tell you about it until we were live. Kind of a strange fella that he said he could up our number. I just had to sign a piece of paper in blood. I don't know why he wanted me to ink it in blood. I do have to give something later on. I don't like it. It was a very odd Shark Tank kind of deal, but he promised to up our numbers. So, I did it for the heart's truth. So it's fine. So hopefully we all survive this. Maybe we won't die. We'll find out.
Well, 7 years from now, 7 years from now, something spontaneously happens to Tex. It's pretty weird. We'll just all be like, thanks, Tex, for your sacrifice. Thanks for taking over the team, buddy.
Hey, I did it for the art. Like, remember me when I'm gone. That's all I'm saying. So it's fine.
Oh, so he did it for the art, meaning he got to give up one of your Art the Clown figurines. That's what it's called.
Oh, that's what it. Oh, that's going to be hard to do. Which one do I get? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, not for the art, for art specifically.
See, that's the way the devil gets you. Is like it's what you say. The devil is in fact in the details.
That's the real Schindler's List. Me with two of my Art the Clown figures, like, which one do I have to give up? That's the real Schindler's List right there. That's what that is.
This could be 100 more subscribers. This could be 200. Oh, god damn it.
Anyway. It's gonna be a fun time tonight. Real quick, I mean, I know that we're here to review, but I do have to ask you guys this question. I don't want to go too long on it, but Kathleen Kennedy is out at Lucasfilm. There's a celebration going all over.
No.
I believe it when I see it.
All over the internet. There are celebrations, corks popping everywhere. I don't know, Jeremy. Quick thoughts on it, then we'll move into the review.
No, I what Tex just said too. I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it. This is about the 5th time I think she said, or somebody has said that she's gone. So, okay, great. But if that is true, that's amazing news. But I will hold my breath until that is officially signed in blood or ink or whatever Disney does there. They probably do more deals with devils. That's why I made the big bucks at that place. No, I'll believe when I see it. So we'll still only as I said in our chat, if they can discredit the EU, you know what? We're discrediting everything that she ever touched, and there's only 6 Star Wars films. So
preach on.
I don't know. Tex, any quick thoughts on that before we move on to the review?
Why leave at this point? It's Star Wars is dead. Indiana Jones is dead. She's killed Lucasfilm. Like, why leave now? The damage is done. Like, it's like, oh, okay, now I can successfully retire. Like, it's like you burn down the house. Okay, kids, it's time to move. That's basically what she's doing. Like, who cares? Number one, like I said, I'll believe it when she's gone, but this is Disney we're talking about. It's not like they're going to all of a sudden get somebody who's not a woke idiot like she is. Whoever her successor will probably be worse. So, it's not going to get any better, folks. But,
yeah. One thing people need to remember about this is she's not leaving. Her contract expires.
Right.
She's not being fired. She's not quitting. Her contract is expiring at the end of the year. And I think she's looking at the cards on the table, and she's pretty sure that if she were to call, Bob Iger or the powers or the Disney board or whoever and say, hey, can I renegotiate a new contract? They're going to look at her and go, fuck no. So
she's
it's
like
not so
70.
it's not so much
73 or something.
I don't think her age is important. It's not so much that she's stepping aside. She knows she won't have a choice when her contract is up. So it's a long time coming. She needed to go a while. She needed to go a while ago. Look, for all the problems I've had with her tenure at Lucasfilm, the reality is she's the best producer ever. And that's not my words. That's Steven Spielberg's words.
No, she's a good producer.
She is the best producer ever. No, there's really no statistical argument you can make, or logical argument for that matter, that you can make that's wrong. But being good at one thing does not necessarily mean you're good at another. And while she's a good producer, she has not been very good as an executive. She hasn't been able to get her directors on the same page creatively. She's dropped. Now she's had successes for sure, but she's had some big time failures. And it's not just that they failed to a tune of a lot of money. It's to the tune that they failed critically with fans. It's like because fans will forgive a lot. Fans don't give a shit if a movie does well in the box office. They give a shit if the movie's good. The stockholders care if the movie does well at the box office. Those are the only people that really care.
Yeah, how's that Disney stock doing these days? Not great.
We use that as a measure to bullshit about when we're talking about movies. But for the most part, fans don't care. The reality creatively, it has not been a good time for Kathleen Kennedy over there at Lucasfilm. I mean, she's had a couple lucky strokes. She's had a couple of good ones, but God, everything else has just been very, very bad. And to me, the biggest mistake she made, and I've been saying this for years on this channel, was not having a plan in place for the new Star Wars movies. It's just as like we'll make a movie and then we'll see what happens to the next one. No, she should have looked at what Marvel had done, having a plan for so many years or so many movies. She should have looked at J.J. Abrams and said, "I'll give you a boatload of money to plan these next 3 movies. Maybe not to direct them all, but maybe to plan out the stories, what we're going to do in episode 7, 8, and 9." But she didn't. He made his first movie, then walked off, and then whoever was just like, "I'm going to do random shit, blah blah blah," and then it ruined what could have been an amazing 3 films, because J.J. Abrams got the new trilogy off to a great start with Force Awakens. Then after that, it was big time creative diminishing returns, and J.J. Abrams spent half of the last movie apologizing for the movie before he could even start making his movie in the third one. So it's just bad decision making, not planning, not being able to get directors that can hang around and that were on the same page with her in creative vision. Like the whole thing was Solo. I mean, while that movie ended up not being half bad, it's a movie that the Star Wars franchise never needed. Still has no real bearing on the overall franchise. It's kind of that sweet piece of candy that doesn't really affect the meal, but it's just bad decision making. Just not good.
I can sum up Kathleen Kennedy's contribution to Star Wars in 4 words: the Force is female. That will be on her headstone whenever she finally goes to hell for ruining so many great things that she has. Has she been attached to a lot of cool things in the past? Sure. But what she's done to some of these great brands that have made billions and trillions of dollars is unforgivable. And it's ridiculous how whoever celebrates her is a moron, because hey, there's a whole lot of people who were producers on great stuff. If you're attached to Steven Spielberg, yeah, you're going to get a lot of good credit. But guess what? When you're left to your own devices, you killed Willow, you ruined Indy, and look what you did to Star Wars. That's this is a business of what have you done for me lately, and she ain't done much good lately. So that's Kathleen Kennedy in a nutshell. Right.
If no one's seen it, I watch it just to get pure joy for, I don't know, it was like a 30-second clip, maybe a minute-long clip of Steven Spielberg up there. They're doing for the new Indiana Jones movie, and he says he's announcing it as like, okay, so we wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for like 3 people.
And he disavows her.
The guy who is Indy, who's Harrison Ford, he like built this whole thing up as like the one person, the maestro, who gave us all of our rhythm, our timing, everything. John Williams. And you watch her face just drop, and it's almost like Frank's like, let's go, get off the stage. Like,
it's real easy. Look at So
I was like, that shit
another
was so fucking funny, and I love Steven Spielberg for doing that. He swept the
look at
fucking
another
leg, no
female
mercy.
producer that I would say is just as good as Gail Ann Hurd. Everything from the Terminator stuff to The Walking Dead. I think her resume is. She may not have the awards that Kathleen Kennedy has attached to her, but I'd say she's done maybe more than Kathleen Kennedy has. And it is what I mean. It's all about perspective. But Kathleen Kennedy, you ruined so many things. You deserve to go to creative prison. So get out of here, Grandma. So.
But there might be a longer video coming over the weekend about this. I might give some random thoughts about it. But
if there's more credence to this, then yes. But I'm just saying, I'll hold your breaths. We're not there yet.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, the reality is she's not quitting because it's time for her to go. She knows her contract is going to be up at the end of the year, and she knows she's not going to get them to negotiate another one. So she's trying to change the narrative, say, "Oh yeah, I'm leaving on my own because it's time to move on." When the reality is they weren't going to have her back anyway. Mm-hmm. But let her have her narrative. Somebody else is going to be running Lucasfilm this time next year, and that's okay by me. Let's see. Casey's back in the chat doing his usual thing.
He's been here.
Throwing swords or whatever, and then throwing knives at me, blah, 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 whatever.
I'd love to see you throw a sword, Casey.
Well, he can't. That's why he doesn't play Fortnite.
I'd like to see Casey stand up without being winded. I'd like to see that.
True.
You see those belts on his fucking wall? Come on now.
Yeah, like he actually earned those belts. American Wolf, New Jersey.
Credit card.
American Wolf, New Jersey. What's up, my brother? He said this is a fun one. It was a fun one. Very interesting at all.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Very interesting. And of course, BJ here to bring a little bit of class to the place. Good evening, BJ. Good to see you here as always.
Hang on. BJ, are you eating yet? So I know how nasty to get on this. I'm being nice. And I'm asking ahead of time so I don't spoil your appetite again. So I'm trying to be nice.
This movie's not as gory as the last one we talked about.
Yeah.
So to be fair.
Right.
This one was really cool.
It was yeah, it's not all that. Yeah, she said she's done with dinner.
Yeah. Okay, sweet.
Well, hold on. That means you got to make sure it stays down, Tex. Don't make her bring it back up.
Say, balls to the wall tonight, buddy. Here we go. Let's do this thing. I'm down.
Let's get into it. Tonight we are talking about Late Night with the Devil. It is a 2023 supernatural horror film written, directed, and edited by Colin and Cameron Cairnes. I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm sorry. It stars David Dastmalchian. God, I always struggle with that name. Laura Gordon, Ian Bliss, Fayssal Bazzi, Georgina Haig, and Josh Quong Tart. Incorporating elements of found footage and documentary filmmaking, the film follows the events of a late-night talk show episode aired on the night of Halloween in 1977, during which the host attempts to boost ratings by inviting an allegedly possessed girl onto the show. It was an international co-production of Australia, the United States, and the United Arab Emirates. Late Night with the Devil had its world premiere at South by Southwest Film Festival on March 10th, 2023, and was released theatrically in the United States on March 24th of 2024. Let's see. The film grossed $15 million and received positive reviews from critics. Late Night with the Devil grossed $10 million in the United States and Canada and $5 million in other territories for a worldwide total of just $15.5 million. However, on Rotten Tomatoes, 97% of 224 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 7.8 out of 10. The website's consensus review reads, quote, "Delightfully dark, Late Night with the Devil proves possession horror isn't played out and serves as an outstanding showcase for David Dastmalchian." Yeah, that's pretty fair, I think. I'll go to you first, Tex. Give me your quick thoughts on the movie.
Yeah, I saw this in theaters when it came out 3 times, actually. I love this movie. I've only got one real issue with this movie, and I'll get to it later on. But yeah, this is I like what they touched on the realism of the whole playing off of the Bohemian Grove kind of stuff, the conspiracies and the secret societies and the questions that we all have with the elites and everything. The acting is tremendous. I love timepiece horror, and this movie, seeing this movie on a big screen in a 4:3 ratio, it was kind of jarring because it makes it feel even more real. It's like when you first watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time. This presents differently, and it adds to the experience. And I'm so happy I got to see this on the big screen because the way it feels, if you told me that this came out in the 70s, I would have believed you. Like it looks and feels that way. And I'm so happy we're breaking this one down.
Jeremy, how about you? Give me some quick thoughts on the movie.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset at myself for not having watched this when it came out. I think I just got it just kind of got pushed out and pushed out, and I just never got around to it. But I'm glad that I was able to see it yesterday, and it's like I'm glad I did, and for seeing it for the first time, yeah, this is a really cool movie, just aesthetically. We'll get into the plot, but yeah, the plot too, and how it. I know some people don't like the break, the downtime things, but I'm like, no, I think that's kind of cool that you see. It's like it plays out like an hour long late night show episode, but it's like there is you see the in between of them cutting a break and then like talking about their ratings, talking about, oh my god, this guy is this guy died in an ambulance because his head exploded or something, whatever he said. We never saw it, but yeah, aesthetically this was a really cool movie, and it was a really cool idea. It kept there he is. Well, that's a pre black bile coming out of his mouth, and then apparently, as I said, every orifice when he was in the ambulance. So
yeah.
But I mean, I'm not mad about that. I like that you just leave it up to your imagination. You just kind of be like, oh, and you feel that with them. They go like, oh shit. But anyway, we're back. Had like a little Loki vibe. They're like, oh yeah, very sad. Anyway, after a word from our sponsors. No, this was really cool. It almost kind of bordered on analog horror, if anyone knows what that is, which is something which I really enjoy. Definitely fell into a rabbit hole of last night watching again. So if it did that for me, that's always an A+. I really want to talk more about it. I know we'll get there, but man, I agree. This was a really cool movie.
Yeah, I thought this movie was, every now and again, you have to kind of step back into what was and kind of enjoy it from a different, an older perspective, rather. I think this movie was kind of that. It was based in the 70s, but it had a very, it felt at times like I was watching, you guys know this movie, Faces of Death. It kind of felt like, it had that visual texture to it. You know what I mean? Because, nowadays, some of the modern stuff that's coming out, it's a little too crisp sometimes, but like the graininess of the footage, like I've talked about Texas Chainsaw Massacre before, the original one from the 70s, how that grainy film texture gives it a different, it feels different to watch that movie. It gives it
it's like you're watching a snuff film. It looks real.
Something like that, but it's just like the old grainy texture of 70s and early 80s filmmaking.
It's almost like it was shot on like 16 millimeter or something.
Yeah, it gave it watching it just feels different. It's different. It hits the eyes different. This movie does that. Like the way it cuts in and out of black and white and color, like all the off-screen stuff happens in black and white. And like some of the flashback stuff happens in black and white. The way it starts out, like an old, like late or early 80s, late 70s, right around there documentary, as they were explaining kind of how he got there. Like that whole filming style was fantastic. But look, great acting. It's a simple premise. It's it's the possession stuff, but man, like I said, sometimes you can tell, you can take the same old storyline and wrap it up differently and present it in a certain way, and it makes it feel very fresh and new. And this movie does that a way that I don't think a lot of movies have done since like the first Blair Witch back in the 90s. It's been, I think, about that long since I've seen a movie that reaches backwards in horror and kind of grabs that same feeling the way that movie did. But let's get into the breakdown now. Let's talk about the directors. Colin and Cameron Cairnes, or Cairnes, I don't know how to pronounce her name, to be absolutely honest. They a couple of Australian guys. Again, another horror movie with a couple of young directors who really breathe a different kind of life into the genre. Tex, what did you think about these two directors and how they did with this particular film? They have no real like resume. They've made two other films other than this one horror comedy and one like more straight up horror.
Yeah.
What do you think of the job they did with this film?
I've seen one of their other movies. It was around 2012. Maybe you can look. I can't remember the name of it. I've seen one of their other.
It was a horror comedy.
That's what it was. I couldn't remember what it was. I've seen that movie and I enjoyed that one as well. But as far as what they did with this one, I love this movie feels legitimate in a way, like it was actually happening I've said it on here before, but believability in whatever you're watching is the most important thing. And this looks and feels like a broadcast from that era. Go back and watch old Ed Sullivan, Johnny Carson, that era. Just go through YouTube and like the sets look like it was a real Johnny Carson show. The way that the story lays out, the way that they made, Chicago look and everything else, it looks so good. It feels like I just said a minute ago, like this is a snuff film, like this actually happened, and this is in the basement of some broadcasting company that they didn't want out, but it got leaked to the theater. I like the way that they laid this out and the way it felt. Now the breaks to black and white, I wish that felt because, well, I guess I have two complaints about this movie. When that cuts to the black and white, it's not as crisp as the TV show stuff. I wish it still had that older feel to it to kind of wrap the whole thing up. But I love this movie. I love the way it's presented. I love the way it feels. The acting is great. The direction is tremendous. You get that skeezy TV producer, pushing David Dastmalchian to keep going because the ratings and big bosses are watching. Everything about this movie feels legitimate, believable, and I love when a movie does that.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? What do you think of the job that these two young directors did with this film?
Yeah, I think they knocked it out of the park. Not a whole lot more that I could say that Tex didn't already say, but yeah, like they put a lot of love and care into this movie from the, like he said, from the sets. I don't even say if you look at David there on the side of our screen, I'm like from the suit, the sideburns, the haircut, like. Oh,
dude, those fucking sideburns are tremendous. Like he committed to that fucking shit.
I thought about it. I was like, oh damn it, I should have got some sideburns today, but it's all right. Whatever. Yeah, like the way the set looks, like from the color scheme, the little in betweens, like you have like the little like we'll be right back.
The night owl.
Difficult, and then the night owl thing. In between, I like it. I don't mind. I feel like I feel like the black and white break time was kind of like, it may feel like that. Like as soon as you like cut, you're like boom immediately, and then you have like 2 minutes to do something, and stuff's happening, and then it's got to now we're back. Scene. It's like I kind of look forward to it because it's like you're trying to play out this night this episode of a late night show, and then it's like when you can really address the shit that just happened is in that in between. I'm waiting for it. I'm like, what are we gonna say? Like, what's and Gus comes up to him and he says like, dude, this is not something we should be messing with, and he's just like, screw you, dude, lights up a cigarette. Like, no, ratings are fucking awesome. So buck up, champ, and just walks back out there. It's like, damn. So you can really like see what he's really feeling, not just putting on this facade for being a night show host. So I kind of liked them. I don't know, maybe that's just the way it felt to me, but yeah, I think they really thought this out and had not only a vision in mind, but obviously like a story that they were gonna play out in tandem. Even when the movie at the end turns to like the widescreen aspect ratio and like the crisp, like 2023 colors and whatnot, I was like, that's jarring because I'm like, now we're like, wait, now what's happening?
That's my other issue with the movie. I'm looking forward to talking about that.
I like that because I'm like, that's the like snapping out of it, like, oh wait, what's going on? Is this really happening? And that's where it starts to mess with your head a little bit. Even though it's like you kind of see it coming because it even opens up with like, hey, look, there's Son of Sam, there's Charles Manson, there's so of course there's gonna be some weird satanic cults and whatnot because it's from like serial killers in the 70s. So it's like that angle plays into it because of course like all these executives are also in on it. Everyone's a suspect in this case, as Jamie Kennedy would say. So
Randy is somehow always correct. Like he always.
That's the one constant. He was always right about that. Man.
Yeah, again, young directors coming in and kind of giving it like a different life. I think that's one of the best things happening in the horror genre right now. Is like I said the other day, for all the great stuff we've gotten from guys like all the great horror guys, all the great stuff we've gotten from the 70s all the way up till now. These young guys are coming in and they're hitting home runs left and right. I'm really glad that the genre has been handed off to these like 25 and 30-year-old directors, because these are the guys that are going to be the Wes Cravens for the next 30 or 40 years. With this level of creativity, I thought it was very well done. And the found footage film has not been a style of filmmaking that is done very well. I mean, when it's done well, it's done great. Like I said, I mentioned the Blair Witch Project from 98 or 99, whenever that came out.
99, I think.
And there's been one or two since then that have been done well, but Cloverfield. But in large part, it's not very easy to make that work.
Paranormal Activity.
Wreck and Quarantine, both are very good.
It hasn't been very easy to make that work. I mean, they've tried it a lot of times. There hasn't been a whole lot of them that have really hit well with the mass audience. And this movie, you got to admit, a found footage movie has not hit like this since the Blair Witch. There have been a couple of decent ones, but to hit to this level,
I would say Paranormal Activity did bigger. Just look at the numbers.
I like the first one.
But the thing, my thing about Paranormal Activity is like that was big in the horror community. It didn't escape the horror community. This is like Late Night with the Devil is one of the movies that well, just because they made a bunch of they've made 27 Fast.
They weren't good, but like
that doesn't mean they're good. But they've been big in the horror community. But this movie, it kind of got out of the horror community into people that don't generally watch a lot of scary shit. And they were like, holy shit, this movie is actually really, really good at a lot of different levels. It's not just good visuals, good kills. It was a really good film. Whereas Paranormal Activity, I gotta admit, I haven't liked them all that much. I mean,
I'm a fan of most of them.
Like I said, part of the problem with horror movies is once you get to the third and fourth film, it's really, really hard to keep it fresh. That's why I think all franchises should just stop at 3. I'm just like, I'm done. I mean, Marvel and DC notwithstanding, because they have so many different ways they can tell their story. But it's like everything else, every other franchise, stop at 3. That seems to be the best place to stop. But I really love the job they did with this. It was a good, fresh look. Me being the old guy around here, I remember what it was like to watch stuff brand new on TV that had this grainy look of the 70s. But I thought it was really beautifully done. Again, these young directors coming in and taking the horror genre and just pushing it to a different place. It's actually pretty cool. And again, maybe it's not that it's a new place. Maybe it's going back to the 70s and just giving it an old look and an old feel. Because let's face it, late 70s, early 80s, that was pretty much prime time for horror. That was when horror was really at its peak. So why not go back and get that aesthetic and get a little bit of connective tissue, that visual tissue that you can really hold on to. But I think it was a great job. Now let's talk about the cast of the movie. And holy shit, there's a big enough cast to keep things going. But man, there's a whole lot of really interesting characters that play off of each other very, very well in this film. I'll go to you first, Tex. What do you think of the cast of the film, and who stood out to you the most?
I love the way they cast this film, because for any true horror head like myself that subscribes to the Shudders and the streaming services like the Screen Boxes that show these kinds of movies, that there's a ton of these movies out there in the world that never get put into theaters and never get seen besides the genre people like myself. The way this film was cast, there's so many good actors. There's so many great character actors. Lily, I mean, obviously, Exorcist with Reagan is the possessed girl. My God, look at that. Like, and that's practical right there. That is tremendous. But for me, and I'm giving him this name. I don't know if anybody else has said it or not, but it's obviously David Dastmalchian. I think he's a modern day Vincent Price. He's a true creepy guy. He loves the genre. Anybody who's watched any Svengoolie, he goes on there a lot. I think he owns like a coffin company or something of the sort, like outside of movies. Like he's a true creepy guy, like Vincent Price was. He does all the creepy, weird roles. I mean, he was one of Joker's followers in Dark Knight. He was Polka Dot Man in Suicide Squad. I mean, he's been in so many odd, weird things over the years. And just the way that he acts in this, I love when you get to see him on camera. He's very dad jokey, very, late night host, and then cut, and he's got a glass of whiskey and a cigarette, and he's telling people to fuck off. like just within, you know. Oh, it was great. It was so much like, you know, he goes from like caring, I care about you, you know, we're just doing this, to his producer coming over, hey, the ratings are good, to back to skeevy TV guy. The way that he plays this movie is so much fun. But yeah, David Dastmalchian, modern day Vincent Price in my eyes, but honorable mention to the Skeleton Man. He does nothing in this movie, and yet he has all of my attention because give me a Disney Plus series on the Skeleton Man and the Bohemian Grove crap that he's done, because that dude wore a skeleton costume and sat there for 90 minutes and did nothing and has all of my attention. So I need to know more about Skeleton.
I don't know. Jeremy, what about you? What do you think of the cast and film, and who stood out to you the most?
I don't think the Skeleton Man was as deep as I was being led on to believe. I was like, okay.
I think it is.
I mean, the only other thing was that, like, because he just sat there still and didn't say a word, and he just sat in the audience. And I'm like, the only other thing that really gave me credence to it was that he was there at the end when he was taking the sacrifice. I was like, okay, that is weird that he's still here. But I'm like, the joke is that, what did Jamie Kennedy say? Everyone's a suspect. I was like, okay, well, it's no shock that obviously the TV executive is one of them. Obviously the company, and I like they don't give away too much of the Grove thing. Anyway, I mean, Skeleton Guy was pretty cool. It's a cool. You're looking at him like, who the fuck? Who is this guy?
I think there's more to that character they just didn't do anything with because they didn't have the money or the time.
Well,
I think there's more to it.
I wouldn't want him to. I'd leave the mystery there because that's what keeps people talking.
Oh yeah, no, don't overexploit it. I'm just being, fan here, but
I'm trying to find, there she is. I immediately knew who my favorite character was as soon as she walked out. It was Ingrid Torlini who played Lily, because
she's
holy
great.
Jesus, I was like, if she can give a performance like that, she had a really creepy way that she like moved and like looked into a camera, or like looked over to David's character, or just with smile, and just the way she's all kind of happy and just normal little girl, 13-year-old girl, and then turns into freaking Reagan from The Exorcist on a dime. So yeah, I was like, damn, this kid's got it. So yeah, she definitely stole the movie for me a little bit. I would say, if you keep that for just a second, I don't remember what's the dude's name. Ian Bliss. He plays Carr.
He was great.
I thought I recognized him, and then when I watched, because I'm a cheater. Apparently, I watched the kill count because I enjoy watching how movies are made. Before you even asked me, I was like, I knew I'd seen him, and he was Bane from The Matrix Reloaded and Revelations. And I was like, oh, that's right. Yeah, he was the guy that got taken over by Agent Smith. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I was like, I knew I'd seen him before. And he plays like this, like, you just want to punch him in the mouth. Because I'm like, I know he's playing a skeptic. I'm like,
he's such a dick.
He cuts, and like when he stabs, he twists that knife too, just in a way where you're like, God, it starts to go on throughout the show. Where even David in the middle there, he's like, dude, shut up right now. Okay?
Get me my Marine blazer.
I'm like, it's not even funny anymore, dude. I do have one issue with his character, which I'm sure we'll get into more with the plot, but it's not like a big thing. I was just kind of like, you had all this lead up, and then I'm like, but that doesn't make sense. Yeah, but no, it's the little girl who played Lily. Jesus Christ, if that kid doesn't do more horror, I'll be upset or something.
Yeah, I'm with Jeremy. Ingrid Torelli, God, she kind of steals the movie.
Yeah.
You
bring your possessed girl out, and she fucking runs with it. Yeah,
her performance as the girl, because remember, she's playing kind of two different characters here. Her performance as the girl who has this thing inside her, who she knows has this thing inside her, it's creepy, but at the same time, you understand that when she's in that form, she's ultimately the victim. She is the unwilling vessel of whatever this evil is, and I like the fact that they don't really explain it as to say she was in this Satan cult and all hell broke loose. She was the only survivor. Now, but the rest of it's all left kind of like in the documentary film style of explaining what she is and all that. It's kind of you never really know what's true because a lot of shit that came out of the 70s wasn't entirely true. But but yeah, I mean, but the way she turns it on a dime when she lets the possession happen, I love the way that she played the possessed girl too, because it could have been really easy, and she could have gone like full Reagan and did the whole head rotating around and all that. I like the fact that it's rested more on her dialogue than it is on the crazy special effects, like the head rotating around and the pea soup and all that. I love the fact that this evil is more vocal. It's more subtle. So like when you do see her, I don't know if I have a good picture of it or not. When you do see her kind of jacked up, that's not a good picture of it. But when you do see her in possessed form, you just see a couple little like broken pieces of skin on her face and cheek. But other than that,
some cuts and
all through her eyes. That evil is shooting out of her eyes, and this picture doesn't really do it justice. But the way that her pupils grow to a certain size and the color of the iris has changed from what they are when she's not in possessed form, like that, it's that subtlety, because the eyes is where a lot of acting comes from. That's why I always talk about loving people who act with their eyes. That all happens right there, and it's not just the visual; it's just her evil that really carries the performance. I thought she was fantastic. David Dastmalchian, I agree. He may be this generation's Vincent Price. Look, the guy's crazy talented.
He's got the qualities. He's got it, man. I'm telling you.
I've seen him in all kinds of roles. The funny stuff in Ant-Man, stuff like this, the more dramatic stuff. He's also got a theater background, which is really cool. Where this guy's career, what's scary is that he's really just getting started.
I'll say this is like the first time he's actually been the lead, like carrying a movie. Like he's usually a side character. I was like, dude, if that's how you, I was like, damn, dude. I'm like, you've got it, and I hope you keep going with it.
He's been voicing like animated characters, like all of these DC animated films that go direct to DVD or whatever. He's in so many of those. If you look in his filmography, this dude has been a player. Like I mean, hell, he was, one of the cops that. He was a cop where Harvey Dent almost snaps in the train scene that where where's Rachel, that whole shit, whatever. But yeah, he's got the chops, man, and I'm a fan of this dude. I like this guy. He's cool.
Let me throw this premise at you real quick. The film follows an 8-year-old girl who asks her neighbor for help to kill the monster under her bed who ate her family.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys know what that is? That's an upcoming film called Dust Bunny that is supposed to be released. I don't know exactly what it doesn't say. Starring David Dastmalchian, Sigourney Weaver, and Mads Mikkelsen.
Take my money. I'm there.
Yeah, I'm ready for that one. Bring that one on. I mean, not only does it have a tremendous amount of star power, including him, it's just a crazy. It's kind of like this. It's just a crazy kind of out there plot. But he's got that coming up at some point in the next year or so. Hopefully that'll release soon. He's also got another one coming out. It's in post-production called Rosario, which I don't know anything about that yet. And another one called The Cure, which is in post-production. But yeah, I mean, looking at this guy's, dude, looking at his filmography, you'd think he's been around for 100 years. His first movie was The Dark Knight in 2008.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he was
and other than that, it's like he's never. Yeah, I mean, his first big one was. Ant-Man was probably his first really big movie that he was in, other than The Dark Knight, where he had like a significant role. He had a small role in Blade Runner 2049. He was in Bird Box, which I can't stand that movie. That movie was terrible.
That movie was garbage.
He had a small role in Jay and Silent Bob the reboot as a SWAT officer. He's done a lot of voiceover stuff for DC. He's played Julian Day, the Calendar Man. He's voiced the Penguin. He's done a lot of stuff in that. He had a small role in Oppenheimer. He was one of the research guys. More stuff. A bunch of television. He's been in ER, Ray Donovan, CSI, Almost Human, the new MacGyver series, which I never watched. He was Abracadabra in a couple episodes of The Flash of the CW.
Yeah.
But and a couple music videos and then several theater things. But the guy's just getting started. That's the scary part. Is as good as he is.
Well,
he's hit his prime right now.
And I do want to mention he's not seen in the film, but Michael Ironsides, who does the opening,
the
narration. Oh my God! He's just got one of those. Like when you hear his voice, you know who that is. And the way that he, all over that chaos of the 70s and Manson and Son of Sam, I would have watched 90 minutes of just him talking of just newsreel footage. Like, I love that. Like, the opening of this movie is tremendous. So, shout out to Michael Ironside as well.
I think you forgot to mention his full name. It's Michael fucking Ironside. So I said it. I was like, oh my God,
Hey,
yes.
He's done everything from Scanners to Terminator. I mean, he's literally done everything. So
come on, Starship Troopers, get with it.
Starship, there you go. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So many roles, and he's never seen in the film, but I love his voice in this movie.
And you say his name, I still go back to the TV show V from the 80s. I can't help it.
That's what I'm saying. You can say his name, and everybody else will immediately go to a project that that he's in. He's done so many things. Like, he's just, his voice lends it. It's his voice sets the tone for what this movie ends up becoming, and it fits perfectly. As John Larroquette opened up, Chainsaw in '74, I thought it was fitting that this movie had their own opening narration that perfectly fit as well. So I think it works amazing.
What's going on, Stuart? Good to see you here, my brother.
Hey.
Howdy, Stuart.
Let's see. Brooding Gamers all over the chat. So he thought the special effects were pretty cool in this. The quick look we get at the demon's true form using practical was cool. It was. Overall, this movie felt like a fever dream, but one hell of a ride. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
We get another Clover-esque movie, please. Giant monster review moves from eye view or so.
If they had just put in one dinosaur, he would have been here to review it. But
I honestly, I was thinking about Cloverfield the other day because I actually have Cloverfield on Blu-ray, and I was going through some of my DVDs.
The first one I love. The rest of them I could give a shit.
I fingers crossed. One of these days, I feel like we're getting a true sequel to Cloverfield. I keep hearing that J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves have got it in their sights and they want to do it, but that was 10 years ago. And then Matt Reeves went on to do the Batman, and J.J. Abrams did
Planet of the Apes,
Force Awakens, and it's like
I don't think 10 Cloverfield Lane's really a sequel. It's kind of an anthology. Like, it happens because it happens.
J.J. Abrams he finds a script that he likes and slaps one Cloverfield thing in it and calls it a Cloverfield movie. That's all that he does. It's whatever.
I mean, it's a good movie on its own, but if you hadn't told me it was Cloverfield, I would have just been like, oh, okay.
Cloverfield Lane is a fucking fantastic movie, and that's the movie I finally said John Goodman is a fucking American legend. He needs to be granted American statehood right now. It's fantastic.
But it's not a good Cloverfield movie is what I'm saying. It's a fantastic movie, but not a, I don't know.
It's not a Cloverfield movie.
No, I agree.
Yeah, it's whatever. I'm okay with him making anthology films. They're not direct sequels, but whatever. That's another explanation for their day.
Yeah.
But I have been wanting to do Cloverfield for a while. I think we might have to get around to doing that. But
I'm done with that.
But yeah, again, a fantastic cast all around. I even like the doofy fucking helper guy, whatever the hell his name was.
He was great. He was great. Yeah.
He's the Andy Richter of this show.
Andy Richter. That was the I was thinking of. I was the Andy Richter type character. Yeah, I even thought he was funny. And his
he's like if Ed McMahon was a balding fat man. It's kind of the role that how he played in this movie that worked.
I don't know why, but you know who he looked like? He kind of reminded me of what the hell's his name? From Roger Rabbit. And he was Super Mario.
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins. He looked like Bob Hoskins, and that just kind of made me happy. But then the mustache reminded me of Mario, and I'm like,
Actually, he does look. I wish I had a better picture of him now. He does look like the guy who got his head exploded in Scanners. I wonder if that was maybe
some glasses on there. Yeah.
I wonder if that was supposed to be like not so subtle, but like not direct.
Well,
no, maybe
they weren't subtle as hell with like The Exorcist. They're like, hey, my wife likes my head where it's at. You're not gonna spin it around? No, of course not. And then he gets Exorcist.
And then he pulls out the necklace. He's like, the power of Christ compels you.
I know he does that. I was like, wow, somebody saw The Exorcist like 3
years ago. He really committed and thought worms were crawling out of his fat belly. I mean,
that was nasty.
I loved it. And that scene, like once it's revealed, none of that was real. His whole character arc changes. He's like, fuck all of you. You just embarrassed me on national television. Go to hell.
Right.
Yeah, he was the guy that was smart, wanted to get away from this whole fucking thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like 2 ad breaks ago, he wanted to leave, but they all told him no. Yeah.
Stewart said he had an Anya Taylor-Joy double the other night, the menu, which is pretty good. I haven't seen that yet.
Nice.
And the Gorge, which had a great first half, it was a bit weak in the second half. That's unfortunate. I've heard a lot of good things about the Gorge.
I haven't seen it. I haven't watched either of those.
I just heard something about the Gorge. I'm like, it sounds like it's a cool concept. It's like it'd be something to probably look at. I don't know if
it's on Apple TV, and we dumped.
I'd look into them. I just haven't seen out.
It was the one streaming service
concept
that we weren't using all the time. It's like every streaming service I have, I use a few times, at least once or twice a week. But like Apple TV was the one that's like once a month I would check in there to see what was on there, and half their shit was behind a paywall anyway. I was like, yeah, screw it, we're done with this. We had a free trial of it, and at the end of the day, we were like, yeah, we're not using it. We may as well just cut this one loose. It's a bummer too, because there's some stuff on there I'd like to watch.
It's like two snipers are like tasked to like guard this gorge that they don't know what's in it, and her and the other guy, like they're not allowed to talk to each other is like the whole premise, and there's like monsters and shit down there. So of course, eventually they go in there, they see what happens. Of course, they break the rule and talk to each other and shit like that. I mean, it sounds like a cool idea. So
I don't know, got potential. But let's see. Let's talk about the plot now. And again, a possession plot in and of itself, not too crazy, but again, it's the presentation of this craziness in the setting too, which I thought was really interesting. Jeremy, what do you think of the plot of the film? Did it work for you? Is there anything you'd have changed?
No, I I liked the plot of the film, and I liked that it was, like I said, presented as it goes through the runtime of an episode of a late night show. That as it kind of goes on, it's like the events get more and more out of hand. And the whole, I mean, you can see him back there again, Carmichael. It's like the whole back and forth of like, well, we're trying to commune with Satan. And this guy's like, yeah, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all a bunch of BS. And I'm like, and you kind of want to wonder, like, okay, but so how do you explain the fact that she's right there? That's probably post, she just levitated. And then, what's her face there from Saw 5, who had that really stupid kill with her head not falling off the right way. Just bitch snapped her across the mouth and snapped her back to reality. Yeah, and it starts off kind of slow. Like I know you have a picture of the supposed media, the psychic guy who tries to work the crowd and guess, oh, was this someone or is this your sister or was that you? And his eyes roll in the back of his head, and it's like, oh, Joe, okay, now we're that. Like, oh wait, there might be something to that. It's a real subtle start until they cut the break. Like he just exorcists all over a dude's nice suit, and then like I said, he just gets killed off stage, which I think you hear like sirens, and it's funny how you even see like
you hear the siren, yeah.
You see him like kind of almost break character for a second, like anyway, it's like, oh crap, well, something bad's happening backstage. And then it just absolutely, for a lack of a better phrase, all goes to hell pretty damn fast. And then and then it goes into like, it kind of gives you a little bit of the insight into like what David's character was doing. Is it like, he literally made a deal with the devil, or rather this satanic cult that's kind of just integrated into this 70s Hollywood, where the studio executives are probably in on it. Like all these people are all part of this thing, and it started to make sense. Like when they say about his wife, what did they say? Never having smoked a cigarette a day in her life, which is weird for the 70s.
Yeah.
But sure.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just saying it gives it more credence that you're like, oh, suddenly she came down with lung cancer.
The kids were smoking back then because the doctor said the liquor strikes were good for them. So.
Yeah, you give him a little liquor and Timmy's passing right out. That was a wild time, wasn't it? I wasn't there. And you're kind of like, wait, something's not right here. And then you start realizing, oh yeah, this dude basically was like, at his wit's end of like, what do I do with my show? I understand you want to aim high, you want to punch for the fences or whatever the hell that term is, but I don't know if you're going to beat Johnny Carson, man. I'm just saying. it's a good.
You kill
it's a good
everybody
thing
on
to-
your set and have the devil there, you might got a pretty good shot at it.
I,
I mean, I
I
guess
really, I really love when she was just like, I have a feeling by the end of the night you're going to be really famous. Like,
yeah.
I have a feeling something like that's going to happen too.
Her
Yeah.
lines with David in this movie are tremendous. Like he knew they were, or she knew they were fucking. Oh, it was just so good. I love her
Yeah.
interaction.
But then you see, it's like obviously you know what it ends up being, that his wife was the one who ultimately paid the price for all that.
sacrifice.
And then like then when you kind of go back and look at it, like when you with that knowledge, you kind of, this is the thing about David, is like we just said, this dude's insane. Like you can almost see like the sadness in his eyes, like the you know now what you know about like what he did, and it's like, dude, was that really worth it all in the end? Like, and I don't know, it just seems like he's kind of, like I said, the breaks were what kind of give you like he's kind of got the sleazy like, yeah, well, screw it, we're gonna have some girl's head split open and some guy get Indiana Jonesed and someone get exorcisted right there on our stage. I mean, so be it. I'm like, man, there's got to be better ways to do that. But yeah, and then they give you a little twist at the end there where I'm like, yeah, I kind of saw that coming. Where it's like you think that, oh, he killed his wife. I'm like, well, metaphorically, yes, but he actually stabbed the he stabbed the little girl at the end, and then it's a cool just pan out and you hear the sirens coming in. It's like his whole world just kind of came crashing down. But that's what you get for making deals with Satan. So,
I don't know. Tex, how about you? What do you think of the plot of the film? Did it work for you, or is there anything you would have changed? I have a feeling you have a few things to say at this point.
oh, I didn't even talk about my thing I had wrong with it. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I've got my one big issue with this. I'm saving for the end, but what I like about this plot, yes, it's an exorcism movie, but that's not the main feature of this film. This is a very deep film in the terms of it's dealing with the culture of the 70s. Now, of course, the satanic panic wasn't until the 80s, but this is kind of hinting at like the beginning of it with the rise of the cults and everything else. The whole touching on the Bohemian Grove thing, the way that they use that real life thing that actually happens every year out there in California. With just look up Bohemian Grove. It's a whole rabbit hole you can go down. But the corrupt media, how skeezy they are, just so many things that this touches on. And what are how much would you sell your soul for? I mean, David Dastmalchian sells his for, he wants to beat Johnny Carson. Like, you think you would ask for a higher price, but it's as many things we've seen with like the monkey paw and everything else. You got to be real specific of how you ask for these things because it might come in a way you don't expect. It's like, don't ask for $1 million because you're going to get hit by an ambulance on your way to work tomorrow and you're going to get it in a lawsuit.
You didn't say how.
Yeah, you didn't say how. So that's what I'm saying. This might look like a cheap horror film that Shudder and IFC produced and just threw out there, but there's levels to this movie that a uneducated moviegoer within the horror world would not pick up on, and that's what I love about this movie. Yeah, the exorcism stuff is great, but to me, that's not even the best part of this plot. It's all I want to see what's going on in those woods. I want to see that. Like, that's the main thing I want to see from this world. And like I said, the skeleton man, I know there's something there. They wouldn't show him that much and linger on that much if there wasn't more to it. Is that the leader? Is that some sort of demon thing in there? I mean, we never, he never speaks. We never see him. It just in certain ways, but it's just plot wise, there's so much to chew on with this movie. And it's why I went and saw it 3 times. And I watched it a few more times since then. Yeah, plot wise, this thing is solid. Now the ending, I have one big issue with, and I'll talk about that later. But plot wise, damn near perfect. I love this movie.
I don't think there was too much to the skeleton guy because at the end of the day,
I don't know. I think y'all are wrong. I mean, I don't know anything, but
I'm saying it's definitely weird that he was still standing there at the end when you see him take the chalice. I'm like,
that's what I'm saying.
That is weird that he's back, but I'm like, he's a part of it. I don't know.
Well, you see him with the cult leader and everybody else. I think there's something to that guy. I don't know.
Well, maybe he's the devil. Because the girl
That's
does
what I'm
say that
saying.
it's not the devil that possesses this girl; it's one of his minions or offshoots or whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe he's the devil watching all this play out as a member of the audience, rather than being the one in charge of doing it.
Weird red herring. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe possible. Now that I think about it. But look, like I said, I love the plot of the movie. It's we've done the exorcism thing, the possession thing a lot of times, but we've never. But it's not like the stuff that happens in The Exorcist plays out on live TV. It plays out in this bedroom between just the people that are there. It's a very private affair.
Yeah.
This is done in front of literally a live studio audience, not to mention however many millions of people may have been watching by the time this whole thing plays itself out. So it's kind of like, we talked about with Smile too, like how would it affect what happens, how the process of this thing if a bunch of people were watching. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like it's different because we know that there's 75, 100 people there, sitting in the stands watching, and then however many at home. This thing is playing itself out for everybody to see. It's not a secret thing. It's not a private event. It's a very, very public event, which I thought is it was an interesting way to kind of portray all this. I also like the fact that we did get to know kind of the duality of the possession, which is something that isn't really dealt with a lot when they do possession horror. Yeah. They kind of did it with the last was it the Exorcist? What the hell, the one that we reviewed?
Believer.
The Exorcist. Believer. Yeah, they kind of did it there a little bit.
We don't talk about Believer.
Well, I mean, I like the fact that they gave you an emotional connection to the girls before getting them possessed and the stuff happening the way it happens in the movie. I think was done. I think this does that, but maybe a little bit better, because you get introduced to the girl first. You see that she's very broken, not quite timid, doesn't quite know how to handle being on TV, but at the same time, she's a very normal, the human side of her anyway, is a very happy person who wants to please whoever she's talking to. So the way that she talks to David Dastmalchian's character, it's very polite. She's very sincere. She's very nice. She wants to have this communication with that person. And then when, lady pulls out the crazy necklace and tweaks her out, that's when the devil takes over, the demon takes over, and she turns into a psychopath.
I don't know about that though. I think go back to the Bible when it talks about demon possession. It's we are legion. I think there's more than one demon in her, because even when she's not all cracked out, after the necklace and everything comes out, I think she's possessed the whole time, and it's just different levels of possession. I mean, let's not forget, this was a girl that was raised in a demonic cult to be this. Now, the film doesn't state how many demons were there, but I got a feeling there's more than one of them bad boys in there. Like, that's just the way, the way she speaks to David, how she's looking in the camera. Yeah, she's playing it nice and sweet, but I think there's more than one demon in there.
She did say it comes and goes. So
right.
To what level?
That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
I don't think it's just one. I think there's more.
Even when they go to break and David Dastmalchian gets up and she turns and looks at him. Remember, her voice changes. She's like, "What? You don't think I'm pretty?" And it's like it was his wife talking.
Right.
It's like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
She's not full in possession mode. She's yeah. That's the thing about the devil, is he could be hiding it. He's hiding it behind this.
Right. It's that's
this little naive.
What's his greatest trick? Proving the world that he, or telling the world that he doesn't exist. I think she's possessed this entire film, and it's just different. Now, she may be possessed when she's all happy and smiling. Possession might go away a little bit, and that's when the real girl comes out, because she's like, "Oh, I don't want to let it out," blah blah blah. And then it's when it really kicks off and she's levitating everything else. Now, there might be a moment of clarity between those two things, but I think she's possessed more than just that one part of the movie.
For all that she's been through, and I don't really care how much help she's gotten from her guardian there, it's like, no, with what she went through being in that cult, and especially at that young of an age, I think I agree with you. It's like, I think, no, that devil had a little bit of a control over her, and that was just a facade he was putting on.
I think so.
To let it, I could see that.
Yeah, but look, I just thought it was really good. I thought the plot was very well organized. There wasn't a lot of slippage. There wasn't a lot of useless storytelling. I really do think that the directors watched a lot of old 70s like Carson and and guys like that, and we're like, we're going to structure this movie like one of these talk shows. And they probably got a hold of some behind the scenes footage, or maybe even talk to somebody who had worked on some of these 70s and early 80s talk shows, was like, what was it like behind the scenes? How did you put a show together from one day to the next? Maybe even some modern day talk shows, even though like 12 people are even watching them these days. And kind of got the visuals, figured out how, and really storyboarded the shit out of this movie, and said, we want this to be a horror movie. We want it to look like a talk show, because it's such a weird background for an exorcism. Like, I thought it was very, very well done. I love the plot and the way they put the film together. Let's talk about that final act, though. Good God. Very, very few final acts for horror movies have been this satisfying. Who was it? It was Stewart that said earlier. No, it was Broody Gamer. It said it felt like a fever dream. That's kind of what it felt like towards the end. I think
so, yeah,
but yeah, a fantastic final act. Like, go to you first, Jeremy. The way it really starts moving quickly until you get to this last scene right here, and you realize how everything is played out for everybody. What do you think of the final act, the final death, as it were, and how it all played out?
I guess if you can start from when I hope, I don't know if you got a picture of it. I hope you did. Like the effect of her. Lily's head just splitting in two. And she's
that was my biggest problem. I did not like that. I did not like the way that looked.
Well, I was gonna say it. I'm like, I know about like 50. I don't know how many were in the beginning of this movie, but like 50 goddamn studios all like produced this, and I'm like,
oh Jesus, the opening.
Dude, I saw that too. I was like,
the opening credits for this movie are obnoxious. Like, so many production credits. Jesus Christ.
Like Family Guy even made fun of that in like one of their episodes. Yeah, like, is this the movie? Is this the? Oh no, that's not even the movie. And it looks like, oh, we're watching the movie now. This is cool. Damn it, it's another one. Yeah, but I'm also like, okay, so about like 50 people like made this movie, companies, and I'm like, could you make the effects maybe look a little better? Because some of them look like, I'm like,
it didn't match.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, it kind of was like obvious. I'm like, I see like an obvious like electrocution thing of lightning going through the little instrument that Gus was like touching, and he's like, oh my God. And I'm like, it's a little goofy. Now I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt that I'm like, well, maybe it looks weird because I'm like, what is the 70s? It gives it that, to as an example, like Doctor Who, it's like Doctor Who's known for like the old Who is like, well, the effects aren't like great, but that's just part of its weird charm. That doesn't have to be that way. And I'd be a hypocrite, being the gamer on this channel, to say like, yeah, graphics don't make, something good or bad. It's the story within. So I was kind of willing to overlook it. I'm like, yeah, it looks a little silly. It looks cool. I mean, like it's a cool, like her head splits open like that one bitch from VHS, which that may have been part of the, where her head.
I love every VHS movie that's ever been made. I love.
I only saw the first one. And there's like 50 of those movies too. So
I've seen every one of them.
I'll have to catch up. But I was like, it's kind of a cool look, and she basically just tears through, the studio. Like I said, she poor Gus even kind of had his death foreshadowed, saying that like, yeah, don't want my head being turned around, and he got the night owl treatment, as it were. He got turned and knocked over. Carmichael got the Raiders of the Lost Ark ending a couple of years before that movie even came out.
Hey, but he presented that cool. Check.
Yeah, he said we'll see it again, so and they did. And the Guardian doctor woman got a pretty cool pulled up by like her necklace, and like her neck ripped open, which was pretty sweet. A good practical effect. Yeah, and then it just runs off on this. It doesn't tell you too much, but it gives you the idea of like, okay, so this is what this guy did, and you harken back to like you see him signing the deal with his studio head, and I knew it was going to come back because someone in one of the reporters says like, "What'd you have to sacrifice to get here?" And it's like, there it is. And then you realize like, oh yeah, he basically, gave his wife cancer and she died. And that was kind of the, if he wasn't really specific, I mean, that's kind of that. The devil's going to go right for the gut, man. And he just brutally took his wife from him. And again, for what? And I know it's supposed to be that he essentially killed his wife, like I mentioned earlier with the dagger. But then it's like when it's like he's almost like aware of what's going on, but he's trying to figure out, because you see him going back through like the skits he did from past shows and like sets that he'd been on his own show, but trying to like take it in, like what's going on. And we see him like stab his wife in the bed, and then it cuts back to him like he's like got the knife in the little girl, and that shot that you had there, like where it zooms out and everyone on the stage is just laid out, and then you hear the sirens coming in, and it just. And again, the analog horror bit of it where it pops up and is like, oh, station difficulties, and then like credits. I was like, God damn. That's one. I mean, that's the Shakespearean way to end some shit. Everyone just gets killed by the end of it, which is always the best Shakespeare, because basically everyone
Nobody's
dies.
safe in a good horror.
That's what I'm saying. That's why Macbeth was my favorite, because I'm like, damn, the amount of bodies that drop in Macbeth is a lot. So.
Yeah, Tex, what about you? What do you think of the final act and the way that the whole thing kind of culminated?
Yeah, one of my big likes about this film is there's no scene that's wasted. Like everything that you see is purposeful and is integral to the plot of this film, and it builds and it builds and it builds. There's no like real lollygagging kind of whatever. And when they build to the end of this movie, when literally everything goes to hell, and we go, we've already, had the scene of where, the illusionist is dead. The guy that's trying to prove this is fake is like, oh crap, something's real going on. And then, demon comes out, head splits open, which I love all of the weird fever dream part of this ending. Like Jeremy was just talking about, going back from where he signed the contract to this scene, to the wife getting cancer, to that brief second that we get of him in the woods, all of this kind of stuff. I love all of that. But for me, I kind of have to give like a half-star deduction almost for that weird electric looking demon. Like, this is, if you took that, and I know this was a character design or whatever, that's what they went with. They should have had something more practical that looked like it was in the 70s, because everything else in this film matches except for the design of the demon. That's modern day 2024 stuff. Like, that to me just doesn't look like, when I think demon, that doesn't look like a demon to me. That looks like some sort of weird alien poltergeist mix thingy. I don't really know what it is, but it's not a demon. Like, when you look at her first form as the demon, when she's freaking out and whatever, it doesn't match up to me. But that's my biggest gripe with this movie. But besides that, I love the ending of this film. But it is what it is. Hang on one second, I'll be right back.
So yeah, I loved everything about the ending of this film except this shot. It's a cool shot. I dig it, just not for this movie. I feel like it would have been better if they would have gone back to her just in her possessed form like this. Like, the glowing eyes maybe would have been kind of cool, but the whole
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
And the light coming out, it's like I said, it's a cool shot. I thought it was like
the demon trying to get out of her or something. I don't know.
It's a cool shot, but it doesn't fit what this movie is.
Yeah, it doesn't fit this motive.
I feel like it would have been a little, because, and to top it off, it's like it is a very 70s, early 80s style effect, and I dig that, but it just didn't fit this particular film and this situation that they found themselves in at this point. Yeah. I don't think it was a right shot for that film. I think it would have been much better if they'd have gone back to to kind of this.
They should have went with that.
A little bit of light behind the eyes, maybe, but that's about it. So you can still
then they go more full force into like The Exorcist, like where she's really messed up, she's really cut up and bloody, and like go full on. Yeah.
And if you want to do like a head ripping apart, like have like where like the flesh is like ripping throughout her face, and like you can see something underneath, but it still looks like it fits with this. When you have this electric demon thing, like, it's funny that you brought up VHS. I could see VHS doing a segment within one of their films where there's like an electric demon or something. That would fit in a VHS movie, not in this movie. But that was the biggest problem with this ending, was that it like Frank was just saying, it doesn't fit. But the ending in this movie is so good. Like the travel through time, we get to see everything. We get to see how shady of a character he actually was, which begs the question: was he a bad guy, or did he just really want to, like, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? I don't think he knew he was sacrificing his wife till it was too late. Like, that was a trick that he played with the ending of this film. But the whole demon thing, that if they had just corrected that, like Frank was saying, it complete better ending.
Like, even if you want to have the glowing thing, like you talking about, like her skin cracking open, like underneath, like the cracks, you can see it starting to like glow through, like just a dull, like coming out of her. But and again, still have the eyes going, but nothing like
that would have been better. But it still doesn't fit for me. Like, it doesn't fit the theme of what these demons look like.
Well, also it's just a helper demon, so I'm like, well, if it was supposed to be some, the demon or something, like I would have expected something a little more grand.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I did love everything about the ending, though. The visuals, the way that that weird visual aesthetic about him going back. I've even got a picture of it here of like walking through exactly the deal that he makes with the devil. That, like, when he's sitting at the desk signing the thing, and you can hear them ask, like, how much did it cost you? And he goes, well, he'll pay it off eventually, or something like that. It's very vague.
Oh, his greatest sacrifice is yet to come.
His then they give him this chalice right here, and then they pick him up and walk him from behind the desk to wherever he's officially making this deal or whatever, finalizing it all. I thought that part was really well done. There was a bit of odd Tarantino at times in this film, which was kind of cool. Just touches of it, not too much. Yeah, the ending of the movie I thought was fantastic. But let's get into some trivia now. And since this movie's been out for a while, I got some good stuff. We talked already about. Let me try to find a good picture of him. The skeptic. I need a good picture of him. Well, he's on the right. He's on the right side of the speaker.
Well, that's
go ahead.
I still haven't really said my one problem with him, and maybe we can have a quick discussion about it. So I like that his thing is what I thought was, since he's a former, like, he's an illusionist, like magician guy. It's like there is a way to explain it. Like, he does a little sleight of hand tricks with his cigar and like lights his, it's a little strip of paper on his hand. I know what it is. Lights the cigar. It's all practical stuff. And something that stuck with me was like a thing that Penn and Teller did. He's like, magic isn't what it is because you're stupid. It's the magic is stupid. I was like, right. The way it works is stupid. He's like, it's not that you're dumb. You don't understand it. It's like, I'm doing this. Like, hey, look over here. While you're doing that, I'm like, I'm pulling the strings already, as it were, doing this trick to to just simply fool you with an easily explainable trick. So that's what I thought his whole angle was, because it's like, after every time you watch him, every single time something happens, he's back there and he just starts shaking his head. I'm like, okay, so how are you going to explain this? Is it wires? Is it the age old, like, oh well, you set this up, obviously you did it, which is a pretty easy argument,
right?
So this whole time I was like, okay, if he's Mr. Practical, and I'm like, okay, but then he's gonna do fucking hypnosis, as if like that was real. I'm like, okay, so you believe that you can hypnotize this man and control him and the audience, which is still, in a way, like that just was kind of like odd to me. I was like, okay, but you're not gonna believe that you just watched someone get possessed. Like, you kind of splitting hairs here with like, oh, I'm going to hypnotize this guy and I want to prove that's my point to prove. I'm like, well, you're not really. What? You're saying it's the same thing.
I don't think he was trying to say it was the same thing. I think he's trying to say that there is a way that it can be done, and therefore you can't just blindly believe that this person is possessed.
But it's not a practical thing, is what I'm saying. Is like, he could say like, oh yeah, we had the chair levitate. Well, it's obviously it's pulled up on something, or it's all just acted out and played out, and you already had, like, when he talks to the mom and the daughter that were in the audience, he's like, oh, well, you filled out a questionnaire before you came in here, right? He's like, oh yeah, gotcha. I'm like, okay, so that was his vibe. But then when you're gonna do something like hypnosis, where it's not, that just, I don't know, that just was weird to me. And I know it's for the point of playing it back to show that, oh, he really wasn't ripping his stomach open to show like worms and shit coming out of him. And to be fair, I think, to Tex's point again, the thing that might be a credit to his point about the little girl, she's the only one who was like, why is he being so silly? I'm like, I don't think she wasn't seeing it. She was just seeing him do the goofy thing. It's like, I don't think he actually, that's a good point to make, that she was also just not seeing the hypnosis take place. I don't know.
Well, a couple people didn't. Because remember, he asked who didn't see
like
the worms or whatever.
The people in the crowd, yeah.
Because there are some people, that something in the way their brain is wired can't be hypnotized. Whereas some people that don't have that particular brain,
I'm just like, that's a weird,
whatever it can be.
That's a weird hill to die on if he's going to use that as his like argument. Then I don't know.
But
when it comes to
that is interesting because what he could have then done is said how many people didn't see the chair levitate, because everybody would have kept their hands down and then been like, no, I saw that fucking chair come up. That would have been a hard.
But then he's going to go back to, well, it was all set up. It's all a stage thing. It's like, okay, he always has a fucking argument for it.
Well, I think the reason he always has the argument is because he has debunked so many people for so long.
Well, right.
Nobody has ever really been able to fool him, so he's just assuming that they're not going to fool him now. So he's brushing off the things that might actually make him sign that fucking check over. You know what I mean?
I guess.
Well, I think this is once again, there's levels within this. Yeah, he gave up trying to fool people, but in a way, he's still doing it, which is hypocrisy to the 1000th level within this.
It's kind of
he's still a magician. He's just a different kind of magician within this movie, and which I think it really shows that the way that he plays his character in this film he always thinks, the way he acts, he always thinks he's better than everybody else in the room. You know, give me my maroon jacket or whatever he says, blah blah blah, whatever. He thinks very much of himself because he has that. He's an entertainer, and he within every aspect of his life within this role, he automatically thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. And then whenever Lily's like, well, let's just watch the tape. You get this look on his face
for that.
You know, it's like.
I would say now that was a cool way to play that back, where you're like, oh, let's see what actually happened, because the cameras won't lie, because the
camera won't lie. Which the only way, you would have to go. David Dastmalchian would have had to have been behind it and all the things, and blah blah blah. Which I like that's a possibility within this film, like you talked about earlier, where he goes into the credit. Oh, well, did they ask you any questions or whatever? So they kind of allude to that within this film. They give you other possibilities of what could be going on. It's not just boom, one thing, here it is, present. 90 minutes later, throw away your popcorn. So they add, some intrigue and mystery within this, and it keeps your attention out. But no, that character as a whole, I loved him in this movie. He was a great, smart-ass character trying to get invited to the Bohemian Grove and the orgies or whatever he was talking about.
Right.
Especially to the orgies.
Dude just wanted to get laid. I mean, hey, you know what? I can't fault it. But, his character was the very, very integral to this plot.
And it did move it to the next thing of, when Lily even says, because you're like, well, then let's see what happened when they were filming her getting possessed. It's like, well, yeah, let's see what happened. And then you see it happening, and it goes to where he slows it down frame by frame, and you see his wife. And then I love how he's even still talking shit, where he's like, no, that's you said all in these cheap effects. And even she said when that movie was going on, she's like, look in this motherfucker's eyes. Like that look of horror he had when he saw the fact that his wife was like right behind him as a ghost. It's like, maybe that should be a clue. Cause like that look that David Dastmalchian made, it's like he was even like, it was sinking in for him. So yeah. So that's
what I'm saying.
This thing kind of bugged me. So I was just,
there's so many layers to this. Like, this is a movie you don't watch once. You need to watch this movie, kind of sit on it and let it kind of soak in a little bit, and then go back like a couple days later and then rewatch it, because you pick up on other things. And for this to be such a low budget film, this film, like I said, there's 1,000 of these movies that get released to Screenbox and Shudder and nobody sees, that are horror gems, but they never get the light of day. I'm lucky this one did.
Late night TV slots, man. They'll fucking get you. You never see
it. Oh yeah.
He's the late show.
But let's look at some of the cool trivia I got for this now.
Yeah,
And we'll start with this one about where the picture go. There it is. The Carmichael Haig character, who's on the far right of the screen, is very clearly based, including physically, on real life magician James Randi. Randi was a talented musician who became a famous psychic debunker, and he started an institute that offered a large reward to anyone that could reproduce their supposed paranormal powers in controlled conditions. Over decades, I think it was something like almost 4 decades, nobody was able to win the money.
Wow.
I tell you what, I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole last night about James Randi as I was putting some of this stuff together. That guy needs a movie made about his life.
Really? I don't know anything about him. I'll have to look him up.
Read about this guy. It is,
it's insane.
He is, it's wild. This guy, there needs to be a movie made about this guy's life. He is insane. There's so much shit. I mean, not only as a magician, but I've got, I'll go to this next piece of trivia that I've got that was coming. I don't know why I put it so late, but the Carmichael actually debunks Christo's act from the beginning of the movie with the same explanations used by Randi when challenging the television medium John Edwards. Like that's okay. Like because I never liked John Edwards either. I always thought he was a fucking phony.
I've seen that clip of the John Edwards show where he got debunked on his show. I didn't know that was James Randi, but I've seen that clip before.
Yeah, I did some reading about him last night. That guy, there needs to be some kind of a biopic made about that guy's life. It is a crazy story behind that guy. Actually, Penn and Teller both said that reading James Randi's book is one of the things that made him want to become more a magician, got him into the magical arts, wanted paranormal stuff like that. Reading his book that he had wrote back in 70 something is one of the things that got them into doing it.
Nice.
But let's see. The amount of time that the opening black and white sequence runs for is about 8 minutes. It was inspired by the 1980s documentary called The Killing of America in 1981. The later sequences in black and white in the movie are all on set and off air interludes that would happen during the commercial breaks of the live show.
I'm telling you, I would watch a full 90 minutes of just that. I don't know if it's my favorite part in the movie, but I adore the opening of this film.
The opening.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought it was great. It felt like it was a Geraldo Rivera kind of hit piece, kind of news thing, kind of whatever. I loved it. The overlay of all the satanic stuff. You see all the chaos that they show, and the house on fire, the cops going after him, and whatever. I thought it was tremendous. I thought it was great.
You even got a little bit of Tricky Dick in there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, in that area, you have to. I mean, you can't not include it.
Yeah, you have to.
That's what I'm saying. It was. I think Frank is right about something he said earlier. Modern day horror can be good or can be bad. It's hit or miss. But horror's heyday was yesteryear. I think the majority of horror films need to be timepieces set before technology, because we've said it on here 1,000 times. Modern technology ruins horror films. The timepiece. I lost cell phone coverage. Blah blah. The cell phone, it just destroys so many plots. If you don't have the technology, it's better off. So we need to go back in time and set movies, pre-technology.
It's funny that Stuart puts this in the chat right now. He says Randi was absolutely hauled over the coals in the late 70s on an Australian late night show, the Don Lane Show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think he told him to fuck off. He was get out of here.
Actually, now that you mention it, let me go back and find a decent picture. The actual specific episodes of the Don Lane Show from 1975 that inspired this movie were those that featured Uri Geller and Doris Stakes. And again, there actually was lawsuits between Uri Geller and James Randi because of the way that James Randi went after him. That's one of the things that I read last night.
Wow.
That Uri Geller actually sued him for debunking him or something like that. Maybe it's an oversimplification of it, but yes.
Who was that guy?
Was based on a real life thing that happened.
Y'all remember in the 90s, Behind the Magic, it was a guy in the black mask. It was on Fox. Had those TV specials.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that guy's name was. I used to love watching those things. That they would show you how they did let's cut the woman in half, or whatever they were debunking. Like, I loved watching those behind the. I think they're called Behind the Magic. I think.
Yeah, my problem with that show, while it was cool to watch, is that a lot of those tricks were kind of dead tricks anyway. It's like they were
obviously,
they were tricks that were so old that most people kind of knew how they were done.
But at that point in time, though, like, it wasn't just magic that was being debunked. Like, there was like and I forget what the name of it was, but like, there was one of those Behind the Magic, but it was for pro wrestling, where they literally like reveal how they do all that stuff. It was kind of that time era in pop culture where things were being, exposed and whatever, which we all knew it wasn't really anyway. But that was just kind of, it fit the motive of that day,
I was trying to find a picture of the devil worshiper guy that is in the movie, but not finding one, because it would have been nice to have with this. But let's see. The cult leader, Sandor Dabo, appears to be based on Church of Satan founder Anton Szandor LaVey.
LaVey, yeah.
LaVey was an American author, musician, and LaVeyan Satanist, as well as the founder of the Church of Satan.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. This movie's playing with some real stuff, like the Satanic Panic, the Satanic Cult, the Bohemian Grove. That's what I'm saying. This is what gives this film legs, is the realism that they're taking from to put into this world, and this is why this one stands out over every other possession film that has came out within the last 5 or so years. It's got realism to it, and it works. Exorcist Believer was hot garbage that needs to be forgotten about. This is a good exorcism movie.
So was Exorcist 2, The Heretic. We don't talk about that either.
Yeah, but Exorcist 3 rocks. I mean, if you don't like that movie, I don't know what to do.
3 was good. 2 was just no.
Right, yeah.
We just don't.
Yeah.
Let's see. I will go back to this picture for this one. Ian Bliss, who plays Carmichael Haig, was actually originally hired to play another character after he was originally hired to be a cast reader. Bliss had just 4 days to prepare for the role of Haig, as the original actor withdrew at the last minute.
Nice.
Well, he did a tremendous job.
That's one of those things that worked out very, very well for this movie.
Well, he's got that
a pretty good asshole, man. You want to punch him in the face.
He's got that character actor kind of thing about him. Like, he's one of those guys. He's not your starring lead man, but he's the guy that he's the solid rock that you can depend on for your pitcher to do well. I like how he did that.
Yeah, let's see. In a strange, weird coincidence, this movie made $666,666 on Sunday, March 24th, 2024 at the box office.
Cool.
According to the distributor. Cool. In all likelihood, this wasn't a coincidence, as box office figures can be manipulated by around 5% by the distributor to compensate for receipts not tracked by RentTrack.
Hey, you know what?
I'm gonna turn into Ian Bliss's character. I'm like, okay, on things labeled that didn't actually fucking happen. Okay.
Hey, obviously we know movie, production companies aren't exactly honest about, certain things. I mean, how many times have you heard of studios buying up their own tickets and, doing whatever? That happens a lot. But, I mean,
I need a burgundy jacket and a big cigar. So I'm like, no, see, so what you did was you bought enough to get the numbers to that.
You're going to need some, beard wax for that mustache too, for the, kind of side things coming out. So, he had that thing styled up pretty well. But,
I don't even have the chops to be able to have a mustache twirl. He even had like the little twirl on the end of them too, which is pretty funny.
I could pull it off, but one thing I will say, how many horror films, like all of the lights went off and there was a power explosion on the set of The Exorcist or on the set of Poltergeist? Like, this is something horror films have been doing for a long time. This is not new hat. This is old hat. To whether there's something spooky for real or not going on, which I do believe in the supernatural, but this kind of stuff adds to the lore of a horror film that makes it last for the ages. So I like it.
I mean, there was a real serial killer in the movie The Exorcist, to be fair.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There's,
there was an actual
those are
serial
the
killer as a character in that movie.
those are the small details that make horror, hold on for the years.
Rosemary's Baby had a future cult leader in it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
it's
ironic as hell.
And if you believe, and
have you seen
this
that
film
documentary?
touches that too.
So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Have you seen the documentary Holy Hell?
No.
Oh, it's good.
Well,
a little bit of back. Well, one of the guys who was like a background extra or something like that in Rosemary's Baby ended up starting a cult in L.A. and all kinds of crazy shit. There's a documentary about this guy. I forget where it's at. I watched it once, called Holy Hell. He actually at one point moved from California to Texas and had his
there's some cults down here, boy. I know a few
theater or whatever. Now he's in Hawaii. Believe it or not, this guy's still running his fucking game in Hawaii. Last I checked.
Wow.
But when Joe Rogan was getting ready to open his comedy club, he originally was going to buy the theater that was owned by this cult. But then found out about it, was like, I don't really want to be here. And ended up dropping the lease on that building and going to someplace else. Yeah, he's like some bad juju. There's a whole dude, it's a wild documentary about this. I think it might have been on Netflix. I have to look. But there's a whole documentary about that guy called Holy Hell, where he forbid anybody in his cult to have sex, but he was like banging everybody, men and women. It was just insane story. You should check it out.
He didn't care where the hole was. He was going to hit it, by God.
Yep, he did not care.
I think it's the one you're talking about. It's on Peacock and Amazon Prime for free, and Tubi.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild documentary. But
Los Angeles Spiritual Group. This is probably it. Yeah. Okay.
Let's see the scene where they show the sacrificial dagger from the Diablo house. When they cut back to the table as the glasses start to shatter, you can actually see Jack's wife's sickly face in the black crystal ball that is amongst the items on the table.
Oh shit!
I didn't pick up on that. I didn't know that.
That's one of those things I'll have to go back and watch it a second time.
Yeah,
because I like the movie.
I said it a minute ago.
Some of those things, because from what I've read,
required rewatching.
Yeah, from what I've read, she actually shows up like in Blink and You'll Miss It like frames. Yeah. 3 or 4 times over the course of the movie.
I saw a couple of those in theaters that others did not see. Just randomly in the background somewhere.
I think what I was more worried about is when they all sit back down again. The little girl and her are switched places, so she's next to David's character. And then he still got the knife in his hand because he undid the restraints on her. And the set guy's like, dude, dagger. And he's like, he sets it on the table. I'm like, maybe don't set it on the table next to the literally demon possessed child. I was like, it didn't happen, and I'm not disappointed by it. But I was like, someone might get stabbed. She might just reach over and just snap and stab somebody. So, but not the best place to put that dagger. Maybe just hand it to a stagehand or something. Get it off there.
Let's see. Couple more real quick. Delroy's character, the Delroy character, is loosely modeled after Conan O'Brien. Carmichael, as we talked about earlier, is modeled after James Randi. Lily's character is modeled after mostly Regan McNeil from The Exorcist. Diablo was modeled after a combination of LaVey, Crowley, Charles Manson, and David Koresh.
I could see it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're going to base something on cult leaders, that's the names to go. I mean, David Koresh and people down there in Waco. I mean, yeah, that's now
they Waco'd the shit out of that house, son. They fucking set that bitch on fire.
I don't have time to talk about Waco because being a Texan, I grew up hearing about that. I'm gonna need about 3 hours to go through all of that. We just don't have time for that tonight, so we're gonna move on.
I've really been wanting to go there.
Dude, we can. Dude, I'm telling you, prepare a Saturday. We're going to be here for a while. But that's the thing. It touches with the cult stuff, the satanic panic stuff. Which that's my one question about this film. If you're doing a show and you bring on a magician, you bring on a skeptic, wouldn't it make sense that you brought a priest on as well, to the set? That's one thing I did wonder about this film.
thought maybe the doctor lady was supposed to be like the other side of the expert category. I was like, I thought maybe
maybe. I mean, but it just to fit the narrative, like if you're gonna have the dark, have the light, just to balance it out. Like that's one thing I did question about this film. Like it doesn't ruin anything for me. It's just if I were to make the movie, I think I would have had a priest somewhere on.
I think that. Well, see, the idea of having a priest there is that you have to assume that one or more people actually, well, more than just the teacher lady, the handler, whoever she was, that somebody other than her believes it. Well, in reality, it was a my story against yours kind of thing. Is I have this girl here who is possessed, and you've got the Randy character who's like, I don't believe you. I think you're full of shit. And that's where it happens. It wasn't about banishing the demon from this girl. It was about I don't believe that she's possessed in the first place.
Right. It just for narrative, like I guess having the woman handler and having the bald sidekick guy like holding the cross at her, he kind of fills the priest role, I guess. But I still think I would have had the priest role there just for the narrative of it. But I don't know. That's just a different version of the story.
As much as he was apparently a skeptic, I mean, he sure as hell turned faster than Anakin Skywalker. And we make fun of him for how fast he gave up and just got down to the Emperor. I'm like, this dude fell to his knees the second he saw that demon and pulled out the money. And I was like, how hard were you really trying to like not believe that this was real? Because you and me are like, I profess myself to you. I'm like, okay, dude. And I'm glad the demon was even like, nah, piss off. Burned him.
Get the hell out of here.
That was awesome.
One more quick piece of trivia. Early in the prologue, Xandar Diabo says, "So it is done." At the end of the movie, right before it fades to black, in the lower left-hand corner, it can be read "End transmission," where it's supposedly the tape runs out. But it very briefly changes right before it cuts to credits to say, "So it is done."
So it is done.
As in the deal has been finalized between him and the devil. The devil got his due.
No, he always wins. I mean, it's kind of how it works out if you sign that paper.
Yeah, the house always wins, man.
Well, one piece of trivia I'm surprised you didn't bring up: the use of AI in this film to create that night owls will be right back. That whole thing, that was a huge thing when this movie came out. Like people, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna kill people myself.
It was. I don't really care. Look, it was a title card. It wasn't like
I don't think it's as involved.
It wasn't like. I mean, I would have believed it if they had said this was AI because it looked like ass. But it wasn't like they used AI for the whole montage of the stuff in the beginning of the movie. It wasn't like they used AI for some
to write the script or something.
Write the script. You're talking about the title cards that are on screen for a grand total of about 15 seconds. I just don't care. And the opening scene where it shows the TV and it's zooming into the TV that's showing everything, that was done AI. I don't care. I mean, as long as I don't want AI writing and filming an entire movie, but I don't freak out if it's just whatever.
It's a still image to get you. It's a transition card. It's like,
but the reason why I brought it up, like people I'm not seeing this, boycott this movie. This was right around the time like the whole actor strike thing and AI was being mentioned. That was at the same. I said that's the reason why I bring it up, because it was an interesting talking point of just among Twitter posts, just reading through all of that, because which I don't have a problem with the use of AI, like Frank was talking about, as long as it's controlled. And AI is a tool. It shouldn't take over everything. You know what I mean?
If they're trying to make this movie for cheap, you don't want to. I mean, it would have been cool to have somebody actually draw out the art, which would fit with the time period. But I'm like, you still got to pay somebody to do the art.
This is a low budget movie. This wasn't made by Warner Brothers for $200 million. They did what they had to do, and I understand that. And hey, AI is here whether we like it or not. It's just, how do you go about it
until it becomes self-aware, and then we have Skynet?
I couldn't even find a budget for this movie anywhere.
It wasn't much. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't much. Like our Joe Bob Briggs covered this movie on The Last Drive-In this past year. He said how much the budget was. I can't remember either. This movie didn't get made for a lot. This movie was made over in Australia for like a shoestring budget. And it shows. But how many good low budget horror films have we talked about on? Like horror is best when they don't have $100 kajillion. You got to get creative. You know what I mean? So
The only thing I really find is that it's around 2 million, which is nothing really, to be fair. Which, I mean, for 2 million, that's not horrible.
2 million and made 15.5 million. Not to mention the fact it's getting good word of mouth.
I don't know what kind of tax credits Australia has for film, but I'm sure there's something there. But I mean, it was profitable. So.
Okay, I think 10 million. Yeah, hold on. So you got 15 million at the global box office, with 10 million in the US, and the other 5 is coming from just international. So yeah, you definitely made back your money.
Oh yeah,
and that's what we've always been saying that too. I'm like, you don't have to do you don't have to have a whole lot of money to make a really good movie. Like I said, if you make the movie good, and it's easier to hit that mark when you're not spending as much money, like some $200 million budget as opposed to $2 million, and you make a really cool found footage horror film, and you make, what I say, 15.5 million back. So
pretty much, yeah.
I've messed around with AI a little bit. Like I was like, make me a thumbnail for this movie, and then it comes out like ass, and I'm like, no, I'm just gonna do it myself.
It's really specific.
Maybe I'm not using it right because I'm not very smart about that kind of stuff. So maybe I'm just not using it right, which is a possibility.
You have to be really specific. I've tried it sometimes. It's not.
I've played with that Grok thing on X. I'm just like, oh, show me. Like I did one the other day. It was like, show me Art the Clown with a Texas flag. But like the flag was like upside down and backwards, and art looked. It was just like a generic, like clown. Like it wasn't great, but whatever. It is what it is.
Hold on, I gotta look for something here. We're talking about the guy who was on the dating show who was a serial killer. It wasn't like anybody that we, and it's not one of the big ones. It was.
Yeah, I just tried it. It's like, show me Art the Clown with a Texas state flag.
Yeah, like it gave me 2 images, and neither of them were Art the Clown. Just like generic clown. One was it was very odd. It was very weird. Like it was.
Yeah, it's giving me the same shit.
Yeah,
I swear to God, one of them looks like Tim Walz in clown makeup holding a Texas state flag.
Hey, that's frightening. He wants to put tampons in the boys' room. God knows where. I don't want to know why.
I have to share this with you guys real quick. It looks kind of funny. So here's what. I'll turn the sound off.
Tim Walz is.
The one on the left looks just like Tim Walz wearing clown makeup.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it doesn't quite come out right. It's like,
Yeah, I've never really been able to use AI in a good way.
Well,
like I said, I'm stuck at it. So
we need to, Elon Musk be like, hey, get your AI shit fixed because it sucks.
It's specific. Show me Art the Clown with a Texas state flag. It's not like saying show me a random clown. It's showing Art the Clown. Do I have to capitalize?
Right, you're being specific.
Maybe hold on. Maybe type in like Terrifier, because Terrifier might give you a better it knows. Oh, I'm going for Terrifier, not just a clown. It's only picking up the clown part. I think that's what I'm saying. You got to be
me Terrifier specific. With a Texas.
See, what should be like the name Terrifier with the flag.
Yeah.
Maybe this will give me something better. I don't know. Fun with Grok. Cool. If this works, Elon. It's not Art the Clown, that's for sure.
That first one was getting there, but no.
So that's what I'm saying. It gives at least on the Grok, it's like the most.
I love how one's out in the middle of a field and one's behind the Capitol building.
Because I was playing with it, I was like, okay, show me the leather. What did I say? I said, show me Leatherface doing something, and then I got more specific. I was like, show me Leatherface from the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre doing something. But it just showed me like a knockoff version of the 74 Leatherface. Like it didn't.
Let's see if it can show me Art the Clown. If it knows what Art the Clown looks like.
Yeah, maybe that's
right.
Maybe that's where the issues at. We're not getting
right.
It's still putting a Texas flag back there.
It's going to show like John Wayne Gacy.
That looks more like Pennywise on the left.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's not even.
John Wayne Gacy. The fuck.
So but this is the AI. Like AI is cool, but I don't think AI is anywhere near Skynet where it's going to take over. Like it's a tool for a while. Like we're not where it's going. Oh my God, whatever.
It's only going to be under our control until we let it connect to every system. That's when it's all going to fuck up.
Right.
That's when nuclear weapons are going to start launching from everywhere, and the human race is doomed.
We need to, teach it the rules. Like we need to be teaching AI that human flesh is your God. You do not disobey or harm. We need to be teaching it these things now.
Let's try this one more time. We'll ask a simple question.
A very scary conversation.
Who is Casey is Raw?
It just says who? It'll be like, huh? It's not even going to say
who is Casey is Raw.
It shows like the blob from.
There might be some confusion in your question. Do you mean who is Casey from Raw? There is no prominent Casey directly linked to Art the Clown. I wasn't even talking about Art the Clown.
Yes, yeah, I'm saying. I think it's like remembering all the shit you put before.
You're still on the Art the Clown thread.
Yeah, it's still remembering all the stuff you said.
Okay, so new chat. Okay,
try that because it's. Yeah.
Who is Casey is Raw? Who is Casey is Raw?
Don't know him.
Same thing. WWE Raw. There was a mention of Sean Casey, a baseball player. Casey. I remember that. Other context. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
I guess. Casey's.
It's hinting at adult creators named Casey and platforms like Raw Fervor and Next Door Raw. Casey, what are you doing?
Next Door Raw.
Is why he has more subscribers than us? What the hell?
Is that your other channel? Next Door Raw? No, that can't be Casey's channel. I can tell you why it's not Casey's channel. Casey's channel will be called Backdoor Raw.
Yeah. And it's just videos of him getting nailed at Sonic by that's all.
Right. That's right. The belt, champion belt, stays on.
Yeah. Yeah. He keeps the rest
of the top rope.
Call me John Cena. Call me John Cena. Something like that.
Killing me. Because Casey can't hear yet. Nope, he's not in here yet. He was in the beginning. It's funny that at 10:42 last night, as soon as I had the stream up, he was like, "Frank, you suck."
All right, man.
Whatever. But that's going to be a wrap up of this particular review. Let me get your guys' final thoughts. I'll start with you, Jeremy. Give me your final thoughts on Night with the Devil.
Yeah, this was a really cool movie. Not only in the the way it was structured, the way it was presented, its aesthetic, the way it felt. Pretty cool. Like we said, we've seen possession movies before, but this is still a pretty special thing to behold. And it's definitely worth seeing. And like we've said, definitely worth seeing again. One of those ones that you can watch again with the knowledge that you know now after the fact. Start picking up more stuff along the way. Yeah, man. Like I think, like Bernie Gamer said, like man, it's just a fever dream. Like
it's a trip.
Yeah, it had me. I must say, it had my attention, had me locked in, and it put me down that rabbit hole of watching analog horror again. So, as I was going to mention when we started, I'm like, you want to talk about like people younger than me, even who like get into this thing, and I really appreciate seeing like really young. I know it's on a smaller scale on like YouTube, but people making these really cool ideas and like little short horror films, even just analog horror. It's cool to see. I'm glad that people are still out there doing this kind of thing. So go watch it. It's on Hulu, I think.
It is on Hulu, yes. It's also on Prime behind a paywall and a couple other ones behind a paywall. So
I watched it on Shudder as well. On AMC Plus and Shudder. Yeah, that's where I watched.
Nice.
And Tex, give me your final thoughts on Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah, I like this movie. This was in my top. I believe it was in my top 5 of horror last year. It was at least in the top 10. I know. Maybe the most original horror film we've seen in a long time. We've never really seen this concept. I like to see more expanded into this world. Kind of go. I don't want to see Late Night with the Devil 2, but I want to see something connected to this be made going in the future. There's a lot of concepts that within this film, this is a deep movie. This isn't just spooky girl, people die, boo. This is one you need to rewatch a few times to really grasp and dig into. And I like movies like that. And hey, support horror, man. So watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this movie does not need a sequel. Just let it stand for what it is.
I don't know.
Not even an anthology film. It's just let this movie be the piece of art that it is. It doesn't need to spawn a franchise. Just let it be the art.
If I were to do like a 30-minute pitch, I wouldn't do Late Night with the Devil. I don't know what the name of it would be, but I would do a faux documentary about somebody looking into this, and that's when you get into the stuff behind it. Kind of play with that found footage aspect, so it's not a straight up sequel, but there's concepts in here that can be played with. So kind of do like the anthology kind of thing within this world would be fun.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's a fantastic movie from start to finish. I mean, I love the aesthetics of the movie set in the 70s. It looks fantastic. This movie, it burns slow in spots and then burns really hot, then slows down a bit, then burns hot again. I love the pacing. It's fantastic. The actors were fantastic. It was very well written. It's a great movie by some young directors who, it's funny that every now and again, young directors don't always know that they're not supposed to be really good at something, and they end up being really good at something. So it's just a fantastic effort by these two young directors, Colin and Cameron Cairnes. Two Australian guys. Looking forward to see what they have coming out in the future. I didn't read anything on their page saying they had anything upcoming. I'm certainly hope they do, because I like this movie and I hope they do more stuff. But whatever they do next, I'm going to be looking forward to it, because if it's great storytelling growth from this movie, that means the next movie they do is going to be pretty fucking awesome. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie. Go watch it. Like Jeremy said, it's on Hulu if you have a Hulu account. It's on Shudder. It's available to rent on Amazon Prime as well. So go give the movie a shot. It's well worth it. I'm gonna watch it again at some point in the near future, because I want to watch the movie again. It's a very enjoyable movie. And for two, I want to get some of the background stuff. This is one of those movies I'm gonna have to watch one or two times to get some of the stuff that happens, like not directly in your field of view, but kind of off to the side. Some of that peripheral weird visuals that I'm sure I probably missed the first time out. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie, one that I think you guys will enjoy. But thanks, Mike, for being so awesome as usual. My head relaxed. Where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Yeah, like I said, you find me here Tuesday and Thursday when we're not doing Die Hard. I missed out on that joke last week, so there you go. I knew something was missing. I said that way too fast last time. I was like, I left something out.
This motherfucker's got a bone to pick with fucking Bruce Willis. Goddamn,
man. Well, no, hey, you, me, and him all agree. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
That doesn't mean it's not awesome.
Shut up!
It's not awesome.
He said it himself. I don't care.
That doesn't mean the movie's not good.
That's a great movie. It's not a great Christmas movie. So that's where it ends.
Wow.
Oh hell! What do we do? Oh, we're doing. This will make my mom happy. We're doing some Patrick Swayze on Thursday. So it's everyone in Frank's generation's wet dream boner that they make their entire personality. We're doing Red Dawn from 1984. So
yes,
top
5 80s movie of all time. Top 5.
No, I was gonna say, in all fairness, it's a fucking really good movie. It's the only one that exists because there was not one made in 2012. We won't talk about.
Yeah. Thor definitely didn't star in Red Dawn.
That was Nickelodeon Red Dawn. We don't talk about that.
You don't even hold a can. Look, they had Negan, they had Jeffrey D. Morgan in that movie, and you still fucked it up.
And they still
they had Thor and Negan, and they could not make it work. That's something.
Josh from Drake and Josh, and you still messed it up. Come on, guys.
I don't know who
you're trying to make me believe that Josh Peck is Charlie Sheen. Not really winning there in my book. So no Tiger Blood. Or whatever he said.
No Tiger Blood, no Adonis DNA.
Winning.
No Adonis DNA.
I'll do a quick text here to close myself out. You know what? I was sitting there talking about analog horror. If anyone, it made me want to rewatch a series that I followed the entire thing in real time. But the joys of YouTube is now you can sit there and watch it and not have to have the actual 5-month break in between where he even goes like, so it's been 5 months since I last talked to him. I'm like, you can just watch it all in one go. There's a series called Marble Hornets, which is definitely worth watching. It's about Slender Man, and it just overtakes. It's from the friend's perspective that like he had a friend in college that was making a student film, and he was kind of getting weary on people, and he was starting to disappear, and then he left him a bunch of tapes as not as evidence, but like that's what he left behind. And basically he told him like, yeah, delete this stuff. And it's just his friend trying to go on the, trying to piece together this whole mystery of like what happened to this kid and what was this, Slender Man thing doing, tormenting his friend. So it's a cool series. So if you're into analog horror or even just Slender Man, give that a watch. It's a fun time. Be looking in the background too. He might be there watching you.
And the shit will start staying like, that's Art the Clown. You don't care about him. You want him there.
Yeah, he's cool. He's cool.
He's the one over your shoulder making you do psychotic things and think terrible thoughts.
He's the reason why I am the way that he keeps telling me to do this stuff. None of this is my fault. Yeah, go watch The Monkey in theaters. It's a fun one. I was kind of surprised. I didn't expect much going into it. It's got a 80s, 90s. Obviously, it's a Stephen King product. It feels like half the movies in that era. It's worth going to see just for the kills alone. Like, I won't spoil too much, but explosive kills, crazy, wacko kill. The Pale Rider shows up from the Bible. Like, it is weird. Like, it is worth going to see. It's worth watching. And if you're not going to the theater, dig into some of these streaming services where you find movies like Late Night with the Devil. We talked about it. Go watch the VHS movies. I believe most of them are on Shudder or maybe even Tubi. I'm not sure where they are. But there's some really good stuff like this that you may have never seen before. And, it's, like I said, for the deep genre horror fans like myself, we dig it. Like, it's not just Texas Chainsaw and Halloween we watch. We, comb through these things to find the gems. And go find something. You'll have fun with it.
As for me, you will find me back here on Thursday with the crew talking about maybe one of the top 5 80s movies of all time. And yes, BJ's very excited. Patrick, yay, and whatever.
Anytime Patrick Swayze, man, that's her dude.
It's like there's so many like Patrick Swayze roles. I'm like, he's so good, he's so good, he's so good. Even some of the obscure stuff, like
are we going to need a hand check on Frank while we talk about a Patrick Swayze movie?
Oh, you'll know exactly where my hands are when I'm talking about Patrick Swayze.
I'm seeing visions of Demi Moore and pottery. What is Frank?
Are we gonna need a? I swear to God, if I see a sock, hand lotion, a towel, anything in that review, I'm done. I'm just exiting off and I'm out. So know that ahead of time.
Get your special socks, nerds.
Get your special socks out there. It's gonna get good.
That's come on, Patrick Swayze. You see, I'm not the only one taking it.
We know about ghosts.
Frank, do you know how I know you're gay? Ooh. You love Patrick Swayze. There you go. We just found out.
That was totally fair. Outsiders is a good movie. Good Swayze movie. Man.
Outsiders is a fantastic. That's on one of the services. I forget which one I was looking at the other day. As I was flipping through the movies, I was like, "Ooh, we should review that one. That's a good one."
I'm surprised we haven't.
Loaded with young talent in that movie.
Yeah,
so good.
Like all of the It guys from the '80s, man. Jesus.
Oh yeah, before they were the It guys.
True. Yeah.
That movie taps. If I could find that movie somewhere for us to review it, we would 100% do it. I would 100% do that movie. Same thing. A couple of the same, one or two of the same actors from Outsiders, but they're super young, early 80s. They're all like 18, 19 in the movie. God, so good. Yeah. So fucking good. But you'll see us back here. You will see us back here on Thursday. One of the greatest movies ever made, Red Dawn, the original, not the lackluster one from 2000.
But is it a Christmas movie, Frank? Is it a Christmas movie?
It happens.
No, it does. It does say December. What's in December?
True.
Christmas.
True.
Whatever.
True. And
I must start a whole shitstorm.
What'd you get for Christmas? I got a Dishka so I can take out these Russians and Cubans. God damn.
And Power's booth fell from the sky from his.
Powers booth came down. Yep. I know Texas is going to love that. What's the capital of Texas? Austin. Well, call me, it's Houston.
Call me Austin.
Too many movies.
Austin is, I don't even stop to piss in Austin. That town is horrible.
He wouldn't piss on Austin if it was on fire.
I'd take pictures of it. I'd watch, but nah, I ain't touching it. Good.
I'd roast hot dogs over its burning carcass, but I wouldn't put it out.
I'd pop some popcorn and, invite
I
people
started
over
the fire,
to watch.
but I'm not putting it out.
Right?
He said it was probably Coppola's last good movie. That's true, because I think the movie he did shortly after that was Godfather 3, which was awful.
Oh yeah.
No, Godfather 3 came way later than that. Godfather 3 was
in
like
the 90s, wasn't it?
Late. Yeah.
It was in the 90s, man.
Hang on. So wait. So basically, Thursday, is it going to devolve into y'all's 80s, 90s jerk off contest that y'all are so
no,
because
this is one of the movies that I think me and him both kind of like agree on. We're like, yeah, this movie's awesome.
Okay. I'm just really mentally preparing myself for what
really
we're going.
One of those movies that transcends kind of all the dumb arguments. There's a few 90s movies as well, like Schindler's List. You can't pigeonhole that into one era of filmmaking. Yeah. It is something completely different.
Well, and
we got two Schindler's List. We started and ended with a Schindler's List reference in this episode. That's tremendous. That's great.
I didn't realize the other day that I'm like, wait, I have another good contender for the 90s. I get to have the first Blade movie.
Oh. And you get the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. You get Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
No, that was 2002.
2001.
Was that 2000?
Yeah. Because there was a whole thing about how they had to change
X-Men
the trailer because the very
X-Men was 99, right?
No, that was
2001.
2000, I think.
2001?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Spider-Man is the one that they came out with the first trailer. What was it, like a week or two before 9/11?
Yeah, where he strung up the helicopter.
Oh, and it had the Twin Towers. Yeah,
and they had to pull that trailer.
That's right. Yeah, never mind. You're right.
He's got that poster with the Twin Towers in like his visor. That is
Frank's just going to be trying to ice skate uphill, and we know how that.
Yeah, you're going to be ice skating uphill with Blade, baby.
Whatever.
Hey, even the 90s had some winners. They weren't all losers. A couple of them were bangers. That's not wrong.
He's going to have a hard time. No, see, but he's going to have a really hard time arguing against Clerks, though. And Mallrats.
I've already said that. I've already said many times that the 90s was fantastic for independent filmmaking.
Independence, hell yeah.
The independent filmmaking was was amazing in the 90s. That I will 100% lay down my sword to that. Independent filmmaking.
I'm not shaking either of y'all's hand if we're talking Mallrats. I ain't taking no handshake.
You don't want a chocolate covered pretzel?
Tech wants some chocolate covered pretzels.
Nope, I'm good. I already ate, sir. I'm not hungry. All good.
But we will be back here on Thursday to talk about Red Dawn, one of my absolute favorite movies, one of the greatest movies of all time. Until then, thanks to my amazing co-host for being so awesome as always. We'll see you guys back here for Red Dawn on Thursday. Until then, adios.
Frank's gonna. We're gonna have to watch it.
You can't like this movie that much, Tex. There was no boobs in it.
Sometimes they don't have to be there when you have that good of a devil, I guess. But they were missed.
I think you should deduct your half a point or whatever it is you do.
Oh, no. The half point was deducted. No, that was a prerequisite. No nudity, half star deduction. That's a hard rule here, my friend.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.